talked about roles, we've talked about planning, we've talked about change management, we've talked about a product backlog. Let's talk about the sprint. The sprint is where work occurs in the Scrum methodology. A sprint are series of little sprints or periods of time, 2 to 4 weeks for average, where we start doing work. This is where the development team is away from the product owners. It's away from the business. It's doing its work. Remember, the sprint is self-organized. They've agreed on a certain number of tasks that they can complete during that sprint, and now they're doing the work. It's consistent duration. It's always 2 to 4 weeks, whatever that is. It's 4 weeks, it's 4 weeks, it's 4 weeks. We know how many tasks we can accomplish in that 4 weeks. The product is designed, it's coded, and tested. Everything is done in that 4-week period of time. Now, each organization may modify their process a little bit. Some organizations will say, no, you're going to do the primary testing, but then somebody else will do the secondary testing. Or it may be that there's a tester as part of the sprint who's actually doing the full QA of this. So at the end of the sprint, it's completely deliverable solution. So there's both sequential and overlapping development. We have our requirements. We're going to design, code, and test. So rather than doing one thing at a time, the Scrum teams do a little of everything at a time. So imagine, if you would, my Scrum team has a tester, a documenter, programmers, maybe a graphic artist. So when we get done, we're all working at the same time, the same speed, on this same problem. So when we get done at that end of that 4 weeks, it's finished, it's done, and then we just bring it back to the product owner at the end of that run and say, hey, good or bad? He says, this is good, it's done, it's finished. Theoretically, it could go live the next day. That's an important issue for us to understand. So we're delivering this. So the makeup of the team is important based on the goal. The goal being to have shippable or potentially shippable product. The reason I keep saying potentially shippable is it may be I finished this module, but I need these 3 modules or these 4 modules together to work because I have interdependencies. So it's ready, it's potentially shippable, but without the other 2 modules, it doesn't make a lot of sense. And that's what happens during a Scrum Run. Now, important to understand that during a Scrum Run, there are no changes. We've agreed on X tasks. That's what we're doing. We're doing those tasks. If the business says, wait, we want to change something, we have to change the priority. This is a higher priority. No. For that 4 weeks, if that's our Scrum period, we're doing what we committed to. As soon as you open up the door, and say, oh, we'll make a change for you, then you'll make a change for everybody, and the whole quality of the Scrum disappears. So the training is, once we start a run, the run continues till the run is over. That's kind of one of the reasons that you don't do runs of 6 months. 2 to 4 weeks, 2 to 6 weeks, a week to 4 weeks, whatever the company picks on, that's going to be your Scrum Run, period. If it's too short, you don't get work done, so you want to find out what the happy medium is, and that's it. If somebody comes up and says, but we need a change, the job of the Scrum Master is to go and say, look, the company has decided on this process to get the efficiency out of the system. If every time somebody were to make a change, we were to stop, we'd never ever get finished. We'll take your requests, I'll bring you to the product owner. Product owner, you can prioritize it based on the overall picture of the product, and maybe at the next run, your need becomes the highest priority. But we're not going to stop the run. This is really important. So you've got to plan your Scrum runs based on the amount of time you can commit without having people do it. Don't go runs of 6, 8, 10 weeks. It's going to be too hard. 2 to 4 weeks, probably the optimum for most customers. And that's what Scrums are all about.